morning everybody, and welcome to today's golf drills for the garden. Today I'd like to talk in a lot more detail about grip pressure. This is really key because it helps you to control the club face, making sure that it's linked to your body, and if you're turning your body really well, then obviously the only thing that can actually hit that ball straight is the club face. So that needs to be synced to your body, which can only happen through the hands. And obviously the way that you also use your hands and wrists in the golf swing depend how much power is put into the ball through the use of how the hands and wrists create club head speed. So the way and the pressure that you grip the golf club will depend on how much or little wrist hinge you have as well. So how can you check your own grip pressure points? There's a couple of signs you can look for in your equipment first of all. Firstly, you can check your glove, see if there are any holes or scuff or wear marks that develop in it. Lots of people get a hole either in this sort of area of the glove here or under the thumb, and most people who I coach, when I ask them why they think they've got that hole, most of them answer that the grip is too tight. Actually, it's completely the other way. It's too loose, because the only way you can wear a hole in your glove is if there is friction causing rubbing and movement to wear through to a hole. So hole or wear marks mean the club is moving in your hand during the course of the swing, and it needs to be firmer. I never get wear marks in my glove. It just gets grubby and the leather gets harder eventually, but there aren't wear marks. The other telltale sign is if you start to get any grooves or wear marks appear on old grips. Again, that's a sign that your fingers are moving during the swing, causing friction and wear marks. The other way is a little bit harder, might need somebody else to see. If you grip it too tight, you're likely to look very stiff and wooden with limited wrist action, and then you'd get missed strikes and lack of power. There's a couple of other ways I can get you to check within the golf swing. So what we could ask you to do is to get a T-peg, put your left hand on the golf club so that the club is sitting underneath the back pad of your left hand, and you should always be able to just lift those back three fingers of the left hand off the golf club so the club can sit under that back pad. So if I now just lift the pad off and place a T-peg underneath it, you can see it's there. So now if I were to swing slowly, if at the top of my back swing, my fingers keep the back pad of my left hand held securely into the club, that tee will never come out. If I were to relax my fingers and let the club come away from the back pad, the T-peg drops out. And you never see any top players with movement here. It's always secure into the back pad of the hand. Same, if we want the grip pressure, which is key, to be equally secure throughout the whole golf swing, then with that T-peg under the back pad, as I swing through to the full finish here, you can see the T-peg is still held securely, again, not dropping out of my hand. And some people will find, when I get them to hold the T-peg in here to the follow through, they feel much more of a stretch in the left side of their body, because when you hold on to the golf club, the body has to get there as well. Whereas if you let go of the golf club, the club can get there without the body having to turn through as much. So if by holding onto that T-peg you feel more of a stretch in your left ankle, left shin, left hip, all these areas, you'll know that you normally let go. The other way you can also check grip pressure is in the right hand. So once we put the left hand on the golf club, you can now balance a small coin on top of your left thumb on there. Place your heel of your right thumb on top of the coin, taking your grip, so that the pad of the right hand is keeping that coin squeezed into the middle knuckle of the left thumb. And again, now you can swing, do a normal golf swing. That coin should stay there. If people do this at the top of the backswing and their heel of their right thumb comes away from their left thumb, the coin there can drop out. Similarly, when you get through to the finish, if I come this way, you can see that the heel of the right thumb is still on the left as opposed to coming off this way. So if you can keep the T-peg in and you can keep the coin in, you know that you've got consistently secure grip pressure through the whole golf swing. And that's the key. Most people focus on their grip pressure just in the setup position, but it's all about keeping it constant. So if you feel the T-peg or the coin dropping out, you can do some practice swings where you put them in, and then you can stop at different stages of the golf swing. Feel what the grip pressure points are like here as you retain the coin and the T-peg. hold the top of the backswing for a few seconds. Feel what it's like there. Swinging gently through and then right the way through and holding that finish, keeping the T-peg and the coin in place. So why is it so crucial? Firstly, because obviously if the club head is twisting in your hands at impact, this has only got to be 2 or 3 degrees off and the ball can go in all sorts of different directions. And particularly if you're somebody who can hit the ball both ways offline, it's very likely the club occasionally twists in your hand because your swing path is not that likely to change. It stays pretty constant for most people. Also, when you get to the top of your backswing, if you let go with the left hand, as it comes out of your hand and you gather it back in, it tends to make a snatching action, which can lead to casting and loss of power. Plus, obviously, you're going to be re-gripping it in a slightly different place. So that consistency of grip pressure helps you to maintain your leverage and control. And exactly the same with the right hand. If your right hand comes off, as it snatches back on, it allows your right elbow and shoulder to get overly involved in the downswing, causing casting, and whereas correct grip pressure points allow you to simply store up the power. So it's going to give you much more control, it's going to give you a slower, smoother transition, and it's going to guarantee that the club head is still absolutely linked to your body in the same way as it was at setup as the club releases through impact. Now, the trickiest bit with this is that if you have got a slightly looser grip and you're feeling these movements, you must not tense up your neck and shoulders to keep it secure. It's below the elbows, it's the fingers and the forearms that work hard to keep the club secure enough. So I want you to do a drill where you squeeze your fists really, really tight as you can, then release them and squeeze them and release them. Go like this a few times. And you'll really start to feel your forearm muscles working really, really hard. But look, I'm not having to lift my shoulders up towards my ears to do it. That's a sign of tension in the neck and shoulders. It's just in the fingers and forearms. And it's learning to do that in the golf swing, to feel that your fingers and forearms are working hard enough to maintain these grip pressure points while feeling really soft through your neck and shoulders, because it's tense shoulders which can stop your wrists hinging. Soft shoulders, even with my grip firm enough, look, there's plenty of wrist hinge going on there. So that's something to practice. Your final test will be when you go back to hitting balls at the golf club or in the net. The hardest thing to do is to hit a golf shot, hold the finish, come back down, and without moving your fingers at all, ask yourself if your grip is still absolutely identical to what it was before you hit that last shot. Could you hit another ball without making any adjustments to your grip at all? And 99% of people say, well, no, they feel they need to slightly set their grip again. And that means the club has moved in your hands during the course of the swing, and that means you didn't have ultimate control of that club face. It's not easy at first. At first you might feel like you're working your fingers and forearms overly hard in training, but that's what's great about this golf training in the garden. You can train your fingers and forearms to work harder, so that then by the time you get to the golf course, they'll feel a little bit easier, a little bit softer, a little bit more natural, but they'll be stronger and working harder to work that club face. Look at the tour pros, they've all got huge, great big forearms. Muscles only get bigger by working them. So just keep working at it gently. We're never going to have forearms like Paul Casey, but we can get more control of our club face so that when we generate a nice swing that we've been working on, which creates more and more club head speed, we've got more control of the one thing that delivers to hit straight shots. So have some tinkering with the T-peg, with the coin, and see what you can discover about your grip pressure. And let me know by email. See you tomorrow.